Hey guys, it's been a few weeks, but we're back with Mitsi Studio. And Mitsi Studio's new video is called Evolution of the Battleships. I have been hankering for some of their content. And the question still remains, will I find a Mitsi Studio video that is appropriate enough or not inappropriate enough that I could show it in class? Will this be the one? Our original videos linked down below. Make sure you're supporting those guys. They've been awesome to me. And if you like fun history content, make sure you're subbed to my new originals channel. We got fun, humorous stuff going on over there. Link to my channel down below.
Let us dive into the evolution of the battleships.
Okay.
You know, those massive gun-laden beasts of the sea built to blow other massive gun-laden beasts straight out of the water.
Again, adorably gory, I call these.
These floating fortresses weren't just machines of war, they were symbols of national power and prestige, projecting influence far beyond home shores.
This is especially a big deal in the kind of later 1800s. That's when the naval race really picked up, and you saw it with, you know, Britain trying to keep the lead towards the late 1800s, and the Germans, they really try to kick it in gear, you know, with Bismarck and onward, kind of starting that naval race. A lot of people say it brought in a lot of the tensions that led to World War I.
For example, when you are the world's biggest imperial asshole blasting the hell out of a bunch of helpless Asian and African chaps with cool-looking dreadnoughts.
Basically.
Did we kill them all, Henry? Splendid.
The world.
Time for tea then. But before we get to the dreadnoughts and colonial gunboat diplomacy, let's rewind a bit. Our story begins long before turbines and turrets, back in the age of sail. From the 16th to the mid-19th century, the oceans were ruled not by engines, but by the wind.
This was the era where gunpowder and gunpowder weapons, cannons, was now starting to meet with navies. And that's how these, you know, European nations, you get the British. Of course, things started with the Portuguese. A lot of people forget that. It was really the Portuguese that really started this type of naval conquest with these new technologies. Then the Spanish are going to go, and then the English, then the French and the Dutch, and in no particular order, start blowing up everything.
Skilled seamen would read it, write it, not in a gay sense, and kill in its stillness. Naval battles were like a polite game of mutual destruction. Massive fleets would line up in neat rows and unleash full broadsides at each other, hoping to outblast the enemy who was basically doing the exact same thing.
You know what ship I love is it's called the Man of War, right? These big, like, is it the British flagships? So many of you guys were recommending this, by the way, that are, I know are big naval heads. What are your favorite ships of all time? And what I mean by that is there's got to be some style to it. Like, today's boats don't have a lot of style. They're kind of heartless. But some of the ones back in, you know, a couple centuries ago, they really had that, like, class, but still had that devastating nature. You guys know what I mean? I feel like we've lost that.
At some point, a brave and daring captain on the British ship HMS Victory was getting a bit bored by these traditional tactics and decided to go full Leroy Jenkins, steering his ships straight through the French and Spanish formation.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, this era, like, those just look so good. Now, I don't know if they were yellow like this. I don't remember that happening, but they had that kind of class and style. Yeah, what was this type called?
Go full Leroy Jenkins, steering his ships straight through the French and Spanish formations during the Battle of Trafalgar. The result, the British fleet destroyed 22 enemy ships while losing none of their own. Teaching the French and Spanish sailor folks a lesson in how to make an enemy fleet your bitch. During the mid-90s.
So this is, you're going to get like Napoleonic Wars, get this era going. British just continuing to assert their dominance over the seas like they had so much in the 1700s and now into the 1800s. They won't recover from this. The French Navy, that is.
19th century, the United States released a serious 1866 2.0 patch on its Navy. Wooden ships? Nerfed. Yep. Armor plating? OP as fuck.
It's called these ironclads. Saw these in the Civil War. Just big, slow, hulking metal things. You actually saw these in the first battle of the American Civil War at Fort Sumter starting to show up because that was water fort.
And with the US Civil War raging beyond the shorelines, the stage was set for a whole other type of naval warfare.
Dreadnoughts.
the Confederacy stormed in with the
those?
CSS Virginia. Full armor mode and apparently full sauna mode as well.
Full what mode?
Full armor mode and apparently full sauna mode as well. Nothing too pleasant for those sweaty Confederate boys inside.
Yeah, those things were, oh my God, imagine so hot. And some of these, it's almost like jungle-like environments down to the swampy, humid areas of the American South. Yeah, you'd just be cooking in those. These things were unsafe, though. I mean, they could explode. You wouldn't want to be in one. It's in this infancy of like what eventually you're going to get, like, you know, the dreadnoughts of the going into the later 1800s, and those things were just so much better. But this is like, you know, the infancy, the baby steps. You didn't really want to be in the first of dramatically new technologies, like early tanks. Heck no. Early fighter planes. No, you don't want to be the first to have to guinea pig that stuff.
The Union answered with the USS Monitor. Tiny, low-key, but equipped with a full rotating turret for 360-degree multi-kills.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard of that one.
Let's start the drums and get ready for an epic battle between these two ironclad behemoths.
Yeah.
And fire! Oh, well, that was a bit of a downer. We are truly sorry. Just not the getting your money back type of sorry. You bunch of e-wallets in a coma. It's not our fault armor-piercing shells were not invented yet.
And just doink. So, I mean, it's like it worked. I mean, they were so good defensively. Much better than, I guess, offensive. But remember, this is where rifling was actually just beginning as a concept in, you know, guns and artillery. They were still using kind of the round balls. But they started actually making what's called the mini ball, which is going to be a little bit more cone shaped. But rifling, meaning you kind of see in the barrel, they have it here in the ship, but you can see how it's like twisting like that. That's to create side spin. And what that does is ends up making it go straighter. Because if you do shoot, again, a round ball out of a perfectly smooth, you know, rounded barrel, that thing is like a knuckleball in baseball. It can go all kinds of directions. But rifling technology, and again, more cone-shaped type of bullets, really make the Civil War have even more devastating weapons than before. It was a big breakthrough in military history.
This video is sponsored by World of Warships, and they're celebrating their 10th anniversary with their biggest event yet, the Grand Voyage. Since 2015, millions of captains have battled across gorgeous 12v12 arenas, and now it's time to honor a decade at sea. World of Warships is free to play on PC, and it just got a massive visual upgrade. Over 40 maps now feature stunning new water effects and dynamic weather so realistic, you'll swear you can smell the sea. Command legendary battleships, stealthy destroyers, versatile cruisers, massive aircraft carriers, or even submarines. Alone or in a division with friends. And every month, fresh ships, missions, and challenges to keep the action going. New players, sign up now using my link and code XVoyage to get the Japanese Tier 3 cruiser, 10 20 days of premium, a port slot, and a commander. Plus, you can unlock the Tier 5 boss and millions of credits in rewards. Returning captains, log in during the event for premium time, anniversary cosmetics, and exclusive loot. Play in this massive multiplayer game and celebrate 10 incredible years at sea on PC or console. Click the link in the description and I'll see you out on the water.
So, back to the ironclad warships. Wait a minute. It's already 1906 and Britain just showed up with a frickin' dreadnought called the HMS Dreadnought.
Big boys.
Very original.
The big boys.
If you thought the ironclad was a career ender for its predecessor, think again.
You know, it was smart by the Japanese. You know, after the Meiji Restoration, they were really interested in a lot of these technologies, especially like British naval technology, and they became a big time steel manufacturer. Mitsubishi, you heard of them? But developing that technology, a lot of this stuff early, and they made quick use of it. When you see how they're going to be fighting in China and fighting the Russians right around the turn of the century there. And of course, carrying that into building their naval empire there in the 1900s.
Forget steam-powered paddle boats. This was the age of steam turbines, uniform big gun firepower, and armor plating so thick it added inches to their waistline every year. Sound familiar, you fat as fuck binge-watching twats? Of course we...
All right. Nope. I can't have this. I can't be showing this in classroom with them calling my students that. It's okay, though.
Try to make these videos sound familiar, you fat as fuck binge-watching twats. Of course,
All right, how many of you felt personally attacked by that? Did you go, oh?
we try to make these videos addictive to watch, but it's still your choice to keep watching and ruin your lives. We are getting a bit off topic here, so...
By the way, I'm no animator or anything, but Mitsi Studio guys, if you're watching or if anyone else knows, what do you guys use to animate and like make your videos? I love the models and just like the textures and the lighting are just so good. You know, it's a total realm of content creation I know nothing about, but I truly do appreciate. It's so just visually pleasing. I love their style. Again, I like to call it adorably gory.
Let's get back to the arms race.
Okay.
The British HMS Dreadnought made Germany, France, Russia, Japan, Italy, Austria, Hungary, and the United States look like twats as well. So they all started rolling out their own Dreadnought version.
Oh.
A few years later, the first Super Dreadnoughts entered the scene.
They're getting taller,
Arguably,
huh?
the most epic-looking Super Dreadnought was the Japanese Fuso-class battleship, featuring a superstructure called Pagoda Mast,
Yeah, what's going
which
on
towered
here?
somewhere into the Earth's stratosphere.
More for
Maybe they did that
observation.
because Japanese people are very short, and so they had to compensate for it. Please listen carefully how we used the word compensate to refer to their physical height without mentioning their penis size this time. We do not want...
See, I didn't think of that right away. I just thought it was a short thing. They're the ones who planted the idea in there. Anyone would benefit from having those tall observation decks. Come on.
to make the same joke over and over again about Japanese people having microscopic-sized genitals. You're welcome. Anyway, during World War I, the British and German navies finally decided to throw down at the Battle of Jutland. The fight was massive, loud, and confusing.
Got to take control of the North Atlantic. This was such an important strategic battle here in World War I, because one of the goal for Germany and Britain, of course, is to cut trade into their coastlines. And here in the North Atlantic, too, the Germans are really going to control that, because you also can cut off direct water access from the British to the Russians. And this was something that was really difficult especially for the Russians, was really getting cut off here in this two-front war. You know, you had the failure at Gallipoli and their failed naval battle to try to open a passage from the Mediterranean to the Black Sea to be able to, cut through to connect with the Russians, but also in kind of the North Atlantic and cutting off access there through Scandinavia. This is going to be the biggest battle and also kind of the last major naval battle of the war. But what's important for really, I guess, controlling the seas for what's going to be the last half of World War I.
And in the end, nobody really won. Yeah, we know, super boring. But Britain had way more ships waiting in the wings, so they basically shrugged, dusted themselves off,
Thousands
and said,
died
cool,
and a bunch of
we'll
ships
just keep
destroyed.
ruling the seas anyway. After World War I, battleships basically hit the jib, bulking up with better engines, bigger guns and tougher armor, like they were prepping for round
I
two.
think they'll talk about the Bismarck.
The Washington and London naval treaties tried to prevent a round two by capping tonnage, displacement, and gun size. The idea? Avoid another economy-molesting arms race like the one that helped tee up World War I, known as Round One.
Fair enough.
In theory, it was a noble goal. In practice, well, let's just say some countries treated the rules more like suggestions.
Yeah, there's none of that. There's none of
you
that. There's
got
no,
creative-
once the war starts out, there's no rules. We just see this. We've seen this in history. It's like people in the end are going to do whatever it takes to win. Doesn't matter what's seen as violations of international law. Push comes to shove, and you're in survival mode. All that's thrown out the window.
With design loopholes. Others skipped the pretense and said,
So Mussolini.
yeah, we're not doing that. So, to spill the beans, these treaties didn't actually stop the arms race, but it did give us some truly weird and wonderful ships along the way. Take the Nazis, for example, who built a few pocket battleships. Honestly, just hearing the words Nazi pocket battleship in the same sentence is just weird.
It did seem weird. Remember, though, German strength is submarines. That was kind of their big counter to the power of the British Navy was, hey, we can't beat them, I guess, above water. Let's beat them below water. And they were, good at it and caused a lot of havoc. But, of course, they are going to want to, I guess, compensate. Go ahead and build the Bismarck. Thing is massive.
Swiss pocket knife? Sure. Nazi pocket battleships? What the fuck are you talking about? Oh,
I don't
and
know, was it better to have more of small
Apparently
ones?
they had a swastika
a few
and
big
eagle
ones?
slapped on their ass as well. So those are eagle on a swastika, tramp-stamped Nazi pocket battleships for you all. Wunderbar.
Nazi tramp stamp.
When the worldwide arms race became World War II, everyone was fixated on these state-of-the-art battleships and how they'd dominate the seas. But it didn't take long before it became clear that other weapons were changing the game big time. Submarines had been lurking as a threat
U-boats.
since World War I, but the real game changer was aircraft, especially.
This was something I think that the foresight to know how important aircraft carriers were such a big thing. And I don't know what would have changed to say like the Germans were more invested. But again, so much of their takeover was really taking over connected lands. And it's going to be really important, you know, for like the British or the Americans. We have to go longer distance across, across water to get to their targets, you know, in World War II. So, I mean, in that sense, it makes sense why. And adding to Japan, even though they didn't have as many as the U.S., but, you know, investing that this was going to be the future of the Navy. Now it's going to have to take a lot more coordination with like your air forces, of course, and your army. And that could be a little bit difficult because it can be hard to get them to work together. Japan was notorious for that, for their different branches of the military not working well together and kind of thinking that they were superior to the others. But the other thing that became important was, you know, I think the idea going in for some of these countries that didn't invest maybe as much in aircraft carriers was not think of them as, you know, very good, like offensive weapons. And the Americans did show that you could turn aircraft carriers into offensive weapons. You know, it's not just a landing pad for planes to try to cut the distances down so they can refuel and regroup and stuff like that, but actually incorporate them into more attacking things. It's pretty good foresight for those that did invest in it that way. And it's a massive deal today.
Those launched from carriers. The attack on Pearl Harbor was the ultimate showdown, proving once and for all that air power was now the true ruler of naval warfare.
Oh, you know what? They kind of were like actually making kind of the like that central island in Pearl Harbor. So Pearl Harbor, and you kind of got the middle part. They kind of look like that. If you look at maps of Pearl Harbor and like where the ships were, it's actually pretty close to it. Now, famously, there weren't as many ships in harbor at that time, which ends up being advantageous for the Americans. The Pearl Harbor attack could have been a lot worse if more of their ships were in port, but a lot of them were not.
All that air power was now the true ruler of naval warfare.
It's just a combination of it. You need all of the things, you know, ships, battleships, planes, carriers. You got to work together. You got to coordinate a lot.
Due to aerial attacks, the HMS Prince of Wales became the Prince of Fails. The German battleship Bismarck became Germany's Pissmark, and the Japanese battleship Yamato became... Oh shit, why does nothing rhyme with Yamato? Tomato, gelato, nah, forget it.
Yamato is the biggest ship, right? Yeah, I believe it was the Yamato, biggest battleship ever built. And famously, it's going to get sunk, and, you know, the captain's going to go down with the ship like you're supposed to do and, you know, keep your honor that way. Very, very dramatic end, really, to World War II as a whole.
This whole joke became a wreck on its own, unfortunately. Let's just call her the world's largest about-to-be artificial coral reef. Throughout the course of World War II, aircraft carriers changed the game. Suddenly, naval battles didn't require ships to even see each other. What used to be up-close and personal brawls became long-distance relationships, with planes doing the dirty work from hundreds of miles away. But the biggest battleship brawl was still on the horizon. At the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval clash in history, American and Japanese battleships finally went head-to-head. In the Surigao Strait, something poetic happened. 4 U.S. battleships, once sunk or damaged at Pearl Harbor and later resurrected, executed the classic crossing the T maneuver. While doing so, they decimated the southern Japanese naval force.
I'm trying to remember, did Fat Electrician do a video on that? Of Leyte Gulf? If not, he should. I'd like to see his take. Did I watch it? I get them mixed up, which ones he's covered. Maybe I did. If I did, let me know.
Maybe the T stands for a chef's kiss. Tat for tat, in that case. Late Gulf wasn't just massive, it was the last time a battleship took center stage during a war.
Yeah, it's kind of, when you think about it, it's never really been, I mean, we've never had these type of engagements. You know, with all the technological warfare, you know, that has happened since World War II. You never just had these like classic naval battles like there is before. I mean, there's such a massive inequality right now in naval power. Like with, at least with armies, it gets pretty close when you start comparing, you know, a lot of countries, because even small countries can have like huge armies. But it seems like the Navy is still such a massively deciding factor. I mean, no one even touches like the US, for example, with how many carriers and ships and there's nuclear submarines and all that, which I think would be a major thing if, you know, we had any war that was is anywhere near something like World War II. There'd have to be, I think, such a massive naval arms race like before to even get close to making it probably competitive.
Did I say that was the last time?
Missouri.
Oh, no. The real moment came on September the 2nd, 1945, when the Americans and Japanese stood face to face once again. This time aboard the USS Missouri. It was there, on her deck, that Japan signed the unconditional surrender of all.
Sign here to agree you got owned like a little bit. Oh, gosh. Yep, so this is going to happen. You know, of course, there's also 2 nuclear bombs dropped that set this whole thing up, but there it is, the Missouri.
All its forces. And really, what could be more fitting for such a momentous act than beneath the looming shadows from the massive guns of Mighty Mo?
Supposed to be like Ado over there. I mean, Mount Fuji.
Remember, new captains can use code XVOYAGE to get a free cruiser Tenryu, 20 days premium, a port slot, and a commander. Returning players log in for exclusive anniversary rewards. Click the link in the description and join the 10th anniversary Grand Voyage today.
All right, another very fun video from Mitsi Studio. Sticking to their style. Hit major battles of really, I guess, modern naval history. I was able to learn a lot, ask you guys some questions, because I know some of you guys are big Navy files, and I know you guys got plenty to say, so I'd love to hear it. All right, guys, thanks again. Don't forget to sub to my new channel, Mr. Terry Originals. Link down below. I know you'll love it.